Hi everyone, I'm going to show you a static stretching series, and this is called the Sun Salutation series. This is a wonderful stretch for you to do at the end of your workout or at any time when you are tight and you feel a need to just get into those muscles and just loosen up your whole body from your head down to your toes. This is what you can do. So what I want you to do, you don't necessarily need a yoga mat, but they are wonderful and they're gonna prevent your hands from slipping when you're doing certain poses. So come to the top of your yoga mat and just raise your arms overhead. Take a big breath in, pulling down through your tailbone. And then go ahead and exhale, bending at the knees, folding forward, come all the way down. When you're here, what I want you to do is bend the knees a little bit if you're having really tight hamstrings. Some people may need to bend more than others, and that's totally okay. We have to modify with what our body is giving us and breathe into it. That is the most important part. It's just modify and let your body relax gently as you just begin to breathe into it. Let your head relax. And just slowly try to straighten your legs. The next thing we're going to do is step back with our right leg into a nice low lunge. A runner stretch, I call this a runner stretch, or a low lunge in yoga is what we call it. And this is a great hip opener. It's also going to stretch the glutes on the leg that's here in the front. If your chest is in the way, you can always bring the opposite arm inside the leg. And then to get really deep in those hips, what I want you to do is just take that back knee down and lay the toes flat and then drop into your pelvis. So if you're up here, I want you to see if you can just begin to drop forward, dropping into the pelvis. And then breathe nice and steady as your body begins to open up and relax. Keep your spine nice and long. So notice how I'm not folding over or hunched over. My spine is nice and long. I'm lifting through the top of my head, pulling down through the tailbone. And this hip here, this right hip, getting deep into the hip flexors, the psoas muscle here. And this is wonderful also if you sit a lot. Okay, next thing we're gonna do is tuck those back toes under, come all the way up. We're gonna take that left leg back to meet the right leg and come into a plank pose. And this one, if you're wanting an active practice here, an active stretch, you can do a chaturanga, but you don't have to. You can put the knees down and just come on down. This is more for stretching your abdomen. So what I want you to do is just press up into your palms as you come on up. You keep those elbows slightly bent and squeezed against the sides of your body. This is a great stretch for your abdominals. And then exhale back down. We're gonna push up and tuck our toes under and make our way into downward facing dog. Nice big breath there. And static stretching simply means that we are just holding it for longer. We're holding it for about 3 to 5 to even 10 breaths. Just press down through those heels. All right, and then we're gonna step that right leg all the way forward. So the Sun Salutation Poses, they are going to stretch you and open you up from the top of your head all the way down to your toes. They're working and opening really every nook and cranny of your body. Everything's getting hit. And this is why in some yoga classes, they will actually do 108 of these sun salutations. So what we want to do is move on to the other side. We're always creating balance in the body. Put the left knee down this time. Lay the toes flat so the toenails are down on the mat. And then just drop in once again. Drop into the pelvis and take about 3 to 5 breaths. And if you want to hold it longer than that, you can. Just breathing into this. Lifting through the top of the head. Try to keep the neck out of the shoulders. So none of this. No scrunching. Pull down, lift up through the top of the head and pull those shoulder blades down your back. Okay, so to come out of it, tuck those back toes under, lift up, and then we're gonna release. We're stepping completely out of it, down into our forward fold, and release. Let your head come down toward your knees. And then we call this half forward fold. We come on up, inhale to a flat back. Oftentimes I'm seeing this rounding going on, and I wanna say your back is not flat. So keep coming up until your back is flat. Your head is not looking forward. You're looking straight down, and the whole body is making a 90-degree angle, okay? You should feel this in the hammies and the calves. It's a great stretch for your spine as well. Releasing back down, bend the knees a little bit, release the head, and slowly come all the way up overhead. Nice and big breath in. And this completes one cycle of a sun salutation. So on that first one, I went deeper into the psoas muscles because it's a really important stretch. But I'm gonna go through the sun salutation one time a little bit quicker just so you can see it. So it starts in mountain pose. Mountain pose, our feet are just about right underneath our sit bones. We're lifting up. We're raising our arms overhead, pulling down through the tailbone. And then exhale, forward fold. Come all the way down. Inhale to our flat back. Exhale down. Inhale, bend your knees. Step back with your right leg. And step back with your left leg. Chaturanga. Release. Cobra. Exhale, down dog. Hold here, stretch here. Look forward, step your right leg forward. And then step out of it, exhaling down. Inhaling one last time. Some people do this, some people skip that one, and then just rolling all the way up with your breath. Exhale down. So that is a sun salutation. What I want to also show you is a way to get deeper into your glute muscles, because this is oftentimes a place that we need a lot of help stretching, and this will be so helpful for you after you do deadlifts or any sort of leg stretches. So we'll do that next. Okay, this next move is a move that gets you really deep in your hip flexors and also stretches your quad and your glutes. So this is one that I will do when I'm really warmed up at the end of my practice and everything has already been opened and stretched before I even get to this point, okay? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna come onto your hands and knees in a tabletop position, and you're gonna bring your right knee over towards the right side of your yoga mat, way up and way over. Now, for some people, this pose is off limits right off the bat, and their knee is just not gonna have it, and your knee will tell you. So just honor where your body is in your practice and make sure to listen to it, okay? You never have to push too far into these poses and push past what your body is telling you. So when you get here, the knee comes over to this side. I want you to take your calf muscle and just simply roll it forward out of the way. And the right foot comes over to the left side of your mat. So what we're doing is we're keeping our hips level with each other, and we're taking that back leg back towards the back of the mat. So we are lowering straight down, the center of our pelvis down towards the mat. And as this leg, the right leg, whichever leg you have up front, as the knee opens and the knee stretches, your sartorius muscle, your IT band, your glutes, as they allow you to go deeper, then you can take that back leg even farther back. And there's another muscle group on that side that we're stretching too. The hip flexors, the psoas muscles, even the lower abdominals. So you're working with a lot of muscles in this particular pose. Keep your balance and don't roll over and sit and cheat by sitting on this glute, okay? So stay level and always honor and protect this knee, okay? So this is the beginning of the practice. Oftentimes you'll see people come forward, and that's fine and all, but that completely takes the stretch out of this left hip flexor. So you really truly want to stay up, because pigeon, this pose particularly, is leading into more pigeon poses, deeper poses where you need to have your pelvis, your hip flexors really open, okay? So this is start of pigeon. And then I'm gonna modify in the beginning just to show you what a modification looks like. This is a strap, and if you have a belt or something, or a strap or anything like this, you can use at home. All right, so what we're gonna do is we actually kind of come up a little bit, and I want you just to think about it before you attempt it, okay? So the mind-body connection is really important. Bend that back knee and just bring the toes up. Point the toes towards the ceiling, okay? Then take your right hand and ground it down right in front of you so that you are supported. And some people might be able to reach their toes like I can, okay? And then just pull the foot up. If you cannot, then what you can do, it's easier if someone helps you. This is why going to a yoga class is really good for you, because a teacher can strap you. But you can strap yourself, I think. Actually, yeah, we'll figure this out. Strap my toe and just pull that leg up like this, okay? Okay, since I can't reach my toe, what I'm gonna do is grab that foot, and this is now stretching the quadricep muscle. Okay, so that gets you nice and deep in both the hips and the glutes and the hip flexor muscles. Come on out of it, shake it out. You wanna make sure to get some blood flowing, get those hips neutral, in line with each other, and maybe just shake that leg out. Oftentimes I like to just tap it back a couple of times, because you will feel that blood flow coming back into that leg. So this next stretch that I want to show you is a static stretch, and this is something that you're gonna hold, and you're really just gonna breathe into it and allow your body to release, because this is a really important muscle group, and it's a very large one at that. So when you're doing deadlifts and you're squatting a lot, you really want to make sure that you're stretching your quads and your glutes, okay? So this is a big stretch for the legs, and I want you to be careful and always honor your body with where it is, because if you go too far, you can injure yourself in a static stretch, okay? And so it's really important just to honor where you're at. The first pose that I'm going to show you, and mind you, I have already stretched, I'm already warmed up, so I am not going into this cold, okay? If I was gonna go into this cold, I wouldn't. I wouldn't go into this cold. You have to be a little bit more warmed up. So you need to do something like those sun salutation stretches first to warm up your muscles and get you a little bit more pliable, so that you can do these deeper hip stretches and glute stretches. So this pose that I'm gonna show you is called fire log pose. And what you're going to do is you're gonna just bring your legs out in front of you, and they're gonna basically stack on top of each other like firewood. Okay, so let me talk to you about this right now. Right here, this is the most vulnerable position for your knee, okay? So what you have to do is be super careful. I do not have anything right now to put here, but if you have anything that you can wedge underneath this knee, like a block or a pillow or a bag or something, then you can do that, okay? I'm not gonna need it, but what you can also do is just simply hold the hand on the bottom of the knee. What's happening here in the body is there's an external rotation of this top part of my leg, of this whole femur bone, and the quad, the hamstrings, everything right here is externally rotating. It's turning out, okay? So what's happening on the back side of my body is inside my glutes, deep inside my glute, where the piriformis muscle is, that's also getting a nice stretch, okay? So what's happening is this is getting externally rotating, and this is getting pulled back here. So we want to go into this nice and slow and with our breath, okay? So usually, for a lot of people who have been warmed up a little bit, what's happening is you can see that my knee and my leg is starting to drop. That's what happens when the body releases and calms down and gets comfortable in this stretch. It actually just starts to go, okay, I trust this position now, I'll relax for you. And that's exactly what happens. So now my knee is no longer in jeopardy because it's level, these areas are level, so I can now just kind of let it drop a little bit. What you don't want to do is have your foot higher than the knee. Like I literally can't do it. And because that's how we get injured, okay? So now my leg is releasing and now they're pretty much just stacked on top of each other. So I'm getting a mega pull here on the back side of the leg. Where I'm feeling this is really in the back side of the body, okay? So right deep underneath that gluteus maximus muscle, deep in there near that piriformis muscle. So what I'm gonna do is lift up nice and tall. And I'm going to fold forward. And what I want you to do is to keep your sternum lifted, your collarbones open, and fold, bringing the belly to the thighs, not the shoulders to the knees, okay? So what you do here is you can just take little spider fingers and keep your sternum lifted. You may not even be able to get your fingers to the ground because I can already feel that, okay? So I can feel a mega stretch right now. So I really don't need to go too much further. Now, when I'm teaching this pose in a yin yoga class, we're holding it for 5 minutes. So at the end of the 5 minutes, oftentimes people who were here and they were breathing really heavy in the beginning of the pose are almost laying their chest on the leg. So the body is really funny, and once it starts to feel more comfortable in these poses, you're gonna get more and more flexible within that practice, okay? Because I'll leave here today and I'll go do a workout tomorrow, or I will go and run and I'll come back to the exact same thing I started with today before this practice, okay? And that's the funny thing about flexibility and why we need to practice it, because it does come and go.